I started playing guitar about 15 or 16 years ago, and when I first started playing it, I just thought I just picked it up and I could understand it pretty quickly. So my roommate played guitar at the time, and I had this guitar in my room, and I just tuned it and started playing it, and he picked it up one day and he was like, "How did you tune this guitar?" And I said, just from what I hear, I just kind of tuned it, and it was exactly how you tune a guitar. So I just had this kind of affinity towards it, and I started playing a lot of punk music and a lot of rock music that I was hearing, and after a while, I've just found that playing that stuff, as much as I loved listening to it, it was kind of, not boring, but it just wasn't very challenging, and I wanted to learn more. So I started kind of checking out different jazz guitarists like Wes Montgomery and Pat Martino, who I ended up actually meeting and becoming friends with for a while. And I just wanted to learn about music, about the kind of science of it. It was such a mystery to me, and then it still is, but it was, a very broad mystery to me. And I would watch and listen to, people improvise on instruments, and I thought that they just were just thinking up these things, and they are. It's still a very poetic thing, but there is a language to it. And once I got into that, I was just hooked on it, and I just wanted to learn everything about the theory of music as I possibly could. So that got me into studying jazz and playing it, and eventually writing stuff for.
And when did you stop playing jazz, or why did you stop playing jazz and start doing this?
I can't say there's a time when I officially stopped. About 3 or 4 years into playing, I was gigging a lot, playing jazz, and I was also playing the saxophone. Not at the same time, but every once in a while I play the sax, and because I grew up playing that too. And with the guitar, I started experiencing this really strange problem with my fretting hand, which is my left hand, and I noticed that a lot of the dexterity in my hand was just went away. Like in the course of about a week, I couldn't play scales and do very simple things that I normally would warm up to do.
Crazy.
So I didn't know what it was, and I spent probably almost a year trying to figure out what was going on. I was seeing chiropractors and all types of doctors, and I ended up going to a piano player to have him look at my technique, and he watched me play, and he told me, he said, "I think you have something that's called focal dystonia." I'd never heard of it, and so I kind of looked it up, and it's basically it's like brain damage. It's like a neurological disorder that occurs with people who play instruments and use their instruments for finite works, such as pianists, violin players, guitar players, surgeons, typists. And basically what happens is when I play the guitar, and to this day, when I play the guitar, my fingers on my hand, they try to do things that my brain is not telling them to do, which is, it's such a kind of abstract thought to think that, to realize that your brain is telling you to take steps and to breathe and everything that you do. And my brain, with this disorder, for lack of a better term, caused my hands to react differently from what I was trying to transmit to them, or what my brain was trying to transmit to them. So I lost the use of my little finger and my ring finger in my left hand, and eventually I just slowly stepped out of the world of kind of playing, bop and jazz music, because I just couldn't keep up physically, and I began, kind of moving back in towards the rock world and starting to listen to a bit more refined kind of music, like old blues recordings and a lot of fingerstyle recordings of people like John Fahey and.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For now, we want to thank Grey Reverend and remind you that you can earn 2 times thank you points on dining out and entertainment with the Citi Thank You Preferred Card.